Good morning, good morning. How are you today? It is Monday, the 12th of June. I almost forgot the date then. This is Middle Earth Readings. I am your host, Maggie Rose Cunningham, here to offer magical inspiration, practical tips, working with your runes, and setting intentions, setting powerful intentions for the lunar month ahead. The new moon is on Sunday. And so we have this whole week of being able to prepare for the new moon. And so, yes, welcome. We are going to be exploring the planetary movements this week. We're going to be looking at what they mean in terms of the energies that are available to us. We're going to be looking at new moon intentions. We're also going to be taking a deep dive into 5 runes. And we're doing 5 today because this lunar month, as you know, the moon, Mani's chariot, moves around the runic wheel, and it makes this circuit, and it goes through all of its phases, and it takes 29.5 days, which means that normally when we go through our phases, we do our new moon, then our waxing, our full, and our waning, and then we're back on the new moon. But every now and then we get a wild card week. And our wildcard week is next week. So we're going to do our new moon intentions this week because Sunday will be the new moon. So we want to get you all nicely prepared for the new moon. But then we're going to have our wildcard week next week. So we're going to it gives us a little bit more time to work with the runes. So we'll be doing 5 on most of the weeks and 4 on one of them. Which one it is, I don't know. So we're going to be working with some of the runes, and I can see in the chat box already that people are sharing the rune that you're working with at the moment. So Esther, you're working with Uruz through the course of the next lunar month. Lovely rune. Beautiful, healing, grounded energy, which is actually very useful companion energy for the pace that's being set at the moment with the planets, with their cycles through the course of the wheel of the year. So Uruz is a really nice grounded rune, so hold on to that, Esther. It's not one of our deep dive runes this week, but if anything comes up for Uruz, I know that you are there. Meggie, you've got Iwaz, also a really nice grounded rune. We were talking about the staff, using Iwaz as the staff, and the power that it brings us. All of the things like our magical tools, the structures that we use, the containers for our magic are all held by that Iwaz energy. So it's supportive in a different way to Uruz, which is very much that connection with nature and the form that is. It's the sort of big container, I suppose. Now, Iwaz is the intentional container that is formed through that the partnership, through our conscious beings moving through the world, and Iwaz is there as the staff supporting us. Candice, you've got Anzu's reversed. Oh, so that's interesting. It's like new ideas coming through but not yet ready to be fully expressed is what I'm hearing there. And again, Anzu's isn't one of our deep dives, but feel into what that might mean as we go through the themes. And Chen, you have got Wunyo, Chen. Really lovely. There's a lightness to Vunyo when we are feeling that sense of it's that moment when we've been through Gibo, the Gibo rune, the gift giving rune, and we move to the Vunyo rune, which is at the end of the first 8 of the runes, and it's that moment where we're like, yes, everything is as it should be. I've entered into the right stuff. I'm seeing the right people. I'm spending my time in the right way. And it just feels good in that moment. And sometimes we can get that feeling even when everything isn't in place, because let's be honest, it's very, very rare. If you get a moment in your life where literally everything is in place, cherish that moment. But Wunyo offers us that feeling, that moment when we're like, I'm fully in my wholeness right now. So it's a lovely rune to work with. Again, not one of our deep dive runes, but we shall see what comes. So yes, please do carry on sharing the runes that you're working with, and I will always try, and if something comes in the moment, then I will offer it. We won't go into the deep dives on the ones that aren't for that week, because they'll be coming later. Hello, lovely to see you, Carol. And yes, so now that I've got quite a few of you settled in here, if you're joining me for the recording, please do pop in the chat hashtag replay so that we know that you're there and we can follow if you've got any questions or comments that are coming after the live. But if you're here live, thank you so much for sharing your runes, much appreciated. Let me know what is present for you as we go through the course of this session. So before I go any further, I want to say do hold on until the end because I have a very exciting new free workshop coming up at the end of this week. And so it's available to book, and you are going to be the first people to get the link. So I will put that in the chat box later on. It will be going out elsewhere as well. But as you are here live, you'll be the first people to get that link for the embodied runes. Oh yes, we're doing some embodied work. And the other thing I should say is Suna's Star Wheel, for those of you who are either already subscribers to Suna's Star Wheel, which is my monthly, let's say, monthly support vessel, like magical support vessel for traveling through the course of each lunar month, working with your runes, bringing in your soul care and your sacred play. So if you want to harness your chariot to the stars through the course of this coming month, you can join Suna's Star Wheel. Again, I'll pop the link in. In fact, I might even have it if I've got it available. No, I don't because my computer shut down. I will pop those links in so that you have got them. So you've got Suna's Star Wheel and you've got the free workshop coming up. And one of I've got 3 questions that I'm going to be asking participants of Suna's Star Wheel, so members of Suna's Star Wheel, to really feel into through the course of setting their new moon intentions this month is where do you want to bring curiosity? Where would you like to bring curiosity in the energy of curiosity into your life through the course of this lunar month? Where might your edges be, or things that you're just interested in that you never quite have time for, and it's like, oh, actually that could be really good. There's a podcast, a new Radio 4 podcast that I want to listen to, which is all about witches. Oh yes. On Tuesday evenings, and so that's one of the things. Like, yeah, I want to bring some curiosity there. So where would you like to bring some curiosity? Where would you like to bring some certainty? Well, we could all do with a little bit of certainty. And when we're thinking about this, and I do go deeper to this than this in Suna's Star Wheel, but this is useful, I hope, these questions to help you to think about the runes and the energy that you want to bring to the month. What steps can you then take to contribute to that certainty? There are some areas where we can't, where we can't have certainty. Big world events where we can't have certainty. But where can you, through your own actions, through your own intentions, through your own magical work, bring the energy of certainty more fully in at the present time? And the third question is, where would you like to bring a little bit more courage? Where would you like to bring a little bit more courage? What would be possible for you if you possessed, if you had in your cauldron at this point a little bit more courage? And if you're like, oh, I'm not sure, you might want to ask the question, not just where do I want to bring that courage, but also what do I need in order to have that courage? So 3 questions for you to ponder, and as I say, if you're in Suna's Star Wheel, we'll go into them more deeply in terms of the exploration piece, but also then what is it that I need in order to bring those energies more. So those are for you to play with as we go through the planetary movements and as we do our deep dives into the runes. Okay, so planetary movements for this week coming up. We have on the 14th, we have Suna's chariot entering Dargaz, and Dargaz is one of our deep dive runes here. So the sun, Suna, is also sometimes called Sol in the northern tradition. Sol is often seen as the charioteer of the sun, and her daughter Suna is seen as being her successor. Now I work with Suna, and I say Suna because we use the word sun, so it makes sense to me that we do that, and because Sol is also a solar deity in other traditions as well. So I say Suna's chariot, but you can say Sol's chariot if you want to. She's moving into Dargaz, and this signifies this arc towards the summer solstice, which happens right in the middle of the half month, so the 2-week period when the sun is in Dargaz the rune of the day. So you can see perhaps a little capital D, like two capital Ds looking at each other for the Dargaz rune, if you're thinking, how is this the rune that begins the sound D? And it brings within it, it's the energy of day, but it brings within it the partnership between day and night. So day is the son of night, Not. So the mother goddess is called Not, and her son is called Day. And Dargaz brings in, I always think it brings in both of their energies, and it's this energy of deep transformation. Meggie, I know that you're here, and we've both found that the energy of the butterfly has been coming up. This energy of like deep transformation has been very strong recently, and I think it's this build towards Dargaz that is causing this this energy to take place. So Frigg's chariot, which we're going to talk about later because she's also transitioning. She's already been through Dargaz. So this is Venus. Venus at the moment is leading the way. The planets are following. Her chariot is at the front, and she's leading the way. She's already been through Dargaz. So we have this energy of Dargaz, and it's becoming more full, more potent as the sun moves into Dargaz. So it's this very strong energy. And what Dargaz offers at this point with this sun is it says like every moment, every struggle, every challenge, every difficulty, every time of darkness is part of the creation of your ability to soar. Now if you think about the butterfly, think about the butterfly starting off as the caterpillar and then in the chrysalis and then pushing through the chrysalis and coming out at the other side. Every moment prior to that taking off into the sky, taking flight, is a preparation for that moment. The caterpillar does not know that, and that's one of the tricky things. When we are in periods of like the dark night of the soul or difficulty and challenge, we don't know that the butterfly self is waiting for us. And sometimes we can want to stay really safely in the chrysalis because it's better in there. It's better in there, and the push is difficult and the push is hard. But when we find that curiosity of what's out there, when we find that certainty, something better is coming, when we find that courage, I believe I can do this, then we can move into that moment of the butterfly. And Dargaz offers in it says that sometimes we never know when that moment of like deep transformation is going to come, when the healing is going to come. We never know when that's going to happen. But what Dargaz says is, as long as you're making that effort towards it, step by step by step by step, at some point it will happen. We don't know when the balance will tip, but it will tip. I'm reminded of one of those scales. I've got one of those old-fashioned scales that I like to use when I'm cooking, when you put the flour in. And my boys sit there and I'm like, your job is to tell me when the scale tips, because otherwise they get the flour everywhere. So I'm like, focus on that. And I pour the flour in and eventually it tips. It's like that. Dargaz is a moment of sudden transformation, this sudden moment. Oh, I'm taking flight. I was on the ground, now I'm flying. But it reminds us of everything that comes before that as well. And so that's it's important for us to remember, and that's what Dargaz is offering. Candice is saying, always reminds me of a sand time. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it's interesting to sort of think about all of the sand has to make its way from one side into the other through the tiny bit in the middle, piece by piece by piece by piece. It has to do that. And we can feel like, well, it's never going to happen, but it does. And it does happen eventually. Hi, Lauren. Lovely to see you. And so we have Suna's chariot is entering Dargaz. So if you have Dargaz as your rune that you're working with at the moment, you want to be looking for those moments of, like, how can I be more open to the opportunities that the universe is offering? Those questions around how can I step more fully into are particularly important for you. It's that sense of, I might not know when the change is coming, but Dargaz offers the faith. It will be coming, it will be coming. How can I open more to enlightenment through the curiosity piece, to insight? All of these come through with the Dargaz rune. Okay, then we have Frigg's chariot also moving, also on the 14th, so she's moving at the same time. And remember I said that she's ahead? So she's sort of almost like, she's moving ahead now as Suna moves into Dargaz. She's saying, right, well, I've done Dargaz, I've done Feyu, I've done Uruz, I'm into Thurisaz right now. And this brings again this quite strong energy. It's like a powerful, fierce energy. And again, there's a theme that runs through this. If you think about the metaphor that we were using of the butterfly, Frigg says, you know, why settle for a tolerable life when you can have a passionate one? You know? And you might think about tolerable as being like a little bit like a line. It's like nothing really bad happens, nothing really good happens. Yeah? And for some people, that's okay. Maybe they've had a really passionate life. Maybe they've been there and they've done that and they're over it, you know? And they're like, actually, you know, I'm quite comfortable with it being now, you know, a bit more steady. But for some people, maybe they've never experienced the roller coaster of passion, and it seems frightening and challenging and difficult, you know. And then Frigg says, it is worth it. No, she says it is worth it. Every time you bring that little bit of energy of curiosity, every time you say, what could I do to make the dream that I hold inside me closer? Even if I need all of that courage, no, the courage that I need in order to do that. Even if I need to move past my edges, like past my comfort zone, in order to do that. Even if sometimes I need to be the fierce bear, you know, the claws of the Thurisaz rune. You know, maybe I'm going to surprise people about how strong I am, how fierce I am. Maybe I'm going to surprise people that I don't have all the answers and I don't know. Maybe I'm going to surprise people by getting it wrong, by failing miserably. You know? And maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm going to soar. Maybe it's going to be awesome. You know? Maybe it's going to be both. You know, that's what she asked. She says, you know, she says it's worth it. And she says even when we find that there are parts of our lives which we don't have control over, remembering that piece around certainty, she says to lose that desire for passion, that desire for something better, the ideals that we hold, to walk the world without that flame inside you, that is not a world that she wants for us. She wants one where the flame is burning inside us. Mm-hmm. So if you have the Thurisaz rune, then you're going to be wanting to move into that space of passion and courage where you can. And it might be that sometimes it feels as if that's pushing you back. It's pushing you inwards, and it's making those places of discomfort and challenge more acute in some ways. And sometimes it is with the Thurisaz rune, because it's sort of saying yes, and still, and still. I posted a little picture on my Instagram account yesterday. I had like blood on my hand, down my fingers there, where I'd been pruning the roses, and I'd been working on some of them in the front garden, come in, had a glass of water, taken my gardening gloves off, gone out to the back, said, oh, that's a really lovely rose, put my hand straight into the rose like a fool, and I think and thorns basically just went whoosh, down the side of my hand, and I was like, the smell of the roses and the beauty of the roses, it was still so totally worth it, in that moment, you know, to have them just remind me, pay attention, you know, remember your gardening gloves. We are not to be trifled with. We are not just beautiful and exquisite. We are also fierce and protective and protected. You know, you can be both. You can hold both. And again, that comes back to this Dargaz energy, this strong Dargaz energy here. Reminds us all when we're working with these runes, and we'll come up again actually with the other runes that we're working with, that we can be two things at once. We can be beautiful and fierce at the same time. We can be kind and challenging at the same time. We can be tired and yet excited at the same time. These things are possible. So what happens when you open up to all of the possibilities that you're holding at that particular time? And then our final planetary movement is Odin. So Odin is moving into Athala. So he is at the present of our trailblazers, which are always, you know, Frigg and Odin's chariot and the sun, always sort of travel in a group together, but they can lead, different ones can be leading at this time. And we'll come to a point quite soon now where Frigg's chariot will go into retrograde. And then Odin's chariot will get faster and faster and faster and faster and take over and move ahead. And then they will move back again. And they sort of very slowly, Frigg will take over again. Is they have this dance that they're like dancing around the sun. I really love the energy that they use. And so Frigg is preparing to go into retrograde, but Odin is speeding up. So when he moves into Athala, he's then going to start transitioning through the runes at a much faster rate than he's done over the last few months. He's really picking up pace. It's like this Athala energy that he's like, okay, this is what I needed. These are the foundations that I needed. This is the legacy, the ideas, the sitting in my seat, in my high seat. Go, he says, and he starts to move through the planets. Even like once a week, I want to say at this point. So he's moving into Athala here. So this is the rune of ancestry, of legacy. And it's the legacy that you received, but also the legacy that you're leaving. The legacy that you received, but also the legacy that you're leaving. And you remember that because all of these runes are feeling that Dargaz energy, that brings out this in Athala so much more strongly, this sense of in order to fully be in that Athala space at the moment, you want to be looking behind as well as ahead, and then saying, okay, and what do I do to bring those things into the present? So it could be things like, what do I need to do to courageously move beyond what I have inherited? And I was reading a little piece yesterday, and it was talking about the way in which we can say, oh, you know, I inherited that. Oh, you know, I recognise that trait in myself. And if it's one that you don't like, you can say, and it ends with me. I can see where it comes from. I can see, I don't know, defensiveness, criticism, not holding your boundaries, like any of these things where you go, I know that this is something that has passed down from father to son, mother to daughter, or across either way. And I can feel it in myself. And the stand that I'm making in this moment is that I am the last time. I am the last iteration of this pattern. You can do it the other way, and you can say, whereas those wonderful traits that I absolutely loved, sort of creativity, deep compassion, whatever it is that you want to choose, the things that you really value, that have been passed on to you by family, by teachers, by spirit guides, whatever it is that you have received, what is it that you want to pass on, and naming those, like really naming them and saying, how can I step more courageously into that energy? How can I make it more certain that I am able to bring that through the course of my life? How can I bring more curiosity to this? What might be possible for me? What might be possible for the people whom I will eventually become an elder for, if I'm able to do this? And so Athala asks you to dig really deeply into legacy, into your legacy, the legacy you've received, and the legacy that you're offering out into the world during this time. Okay. So as I said, Odin is speeding up. Great time to be working with him in his realm, because he will then power through Dargaz. He will be the last of the trailblazer planets to move into Dargaz and to hold that energy for us. And yeah, those are our planetary readings for this coming week. So as I have already mentioned, but for those of you who have joined me since, next week is going to be a wild card week, because the waxing moon, sort of quarter moon, won't arrive until just after the end of the week, because the moon doesn't do 28-day cycle, it does a 29.5-day cycle. So we have a free week. So we're going to be working with other runes, and I don't know what topic we're going to be working on. It's going to be exciting though, I can feel it. Maybe a little bit more of this Dargaz energy, a little bit more of stepping forward with courage, perhaps a little bit of bringing Freya in that we're working with in the half space. And as you know, we are coming to an end of that half space cycle, so perhaps she has some blessings to offer. But we will, I will of course also still tell you what the planetary movements are, but we won't be doing the new moon energy in the same way. So we will have 4 or 5 new runes to work with. Let me have a little look before we look at our final runes that we're going to be looking at today, just to see who else has said hello. Suki says, I'm skidding in. I'm imagining you now like, whoa! Suki, I'm coming in with your Feiyu rune. It's beautiful, warm, inviting energy. There's something there for me, Suki, about paying attention to the food you eat. There's that nourishing. It's that sense of like self-nourishing, and perhaps also about recognizing if you're somebody who likes to cook for others or likes to feed others, or it might be that you like to feed their senses and delight their senses. It's partially about the energy of delight. How do you bring and draw that energy of delight to you, and how do you offer that out into the world? And there is something about making sure that what you are receiving is as nurturing as possible. You know, really feeling into that Feiyu energy beyond the ideas of wealth or consumption or consumerism, and bringing more of a nourishing, sustaining energy through. Carol, you've got hours. Excellent. We are going to be doing hours, so we shall wait for that one to come up. And that's where we are. So let's do hours then, as that's come up for you, Carol. So we've got hours that we're going to look at with our little deep dive here. So here's the hours rune. So this is the rune of, it's a rune of partnership. It's got the horse and the rider. It's a rune of speed as well. Really a rune of speed. But I wanted to bring in at this point a concept that I have been exploring now for a good month now, and I think it's partially this Dargaz energy, this strong Dargaz energy. And I should say at this point actually, because I haven't said it already, which is foolish of me. Why have I not said it? That the new moon, I can't believe I didn't say, I'm not going to say this. The new moon on Sunday is a new moon in Dargaz. Should have said that right at the beginning. For whatever reason, I haven't said it until then. So we've got the sun in Dargaz and then we've got a new moon in Dargaz. So if you wanted any more potency for new beginnings, I don't know if it's possible. And what I've been exploring through the course of preparing for this strong Dargaz energy is the concept of day walking and night walking. And working on the idea that as the modern world has developed, we have focused more and more on day walking. I mean, literally being able to just turn on our electric lights so that we can ostensibly have day whenever we want it to, bring the energy of day to our lives whenever we want it to. We don't have that sense in which, okay, well, I can light a candle, or I can have some form of sort of flickering, not very powerful light, but I'm very present to the fact that it is dark. We don't have that sense in which the working days would have been longer in the summer months. Certainly in the northern hemispheres, obviously not so much towards the equator, but the further north or south you go, the more the days are different, and more of a natural time of rest in the winter time because it's dark. And so you rest. And so the Ewaz rune invites us to feel into this place of the partnership between day walking and night walking. So I want to suggest to you, and it's only a suggestion, this is a little container that you might think about, is day walking is that place where we are in action, we're in the place of the conscious mind, we are manifesting, moving, in a intentional way. We are very much in a space of productivity, of to-do lists, of getting things done, of presenting ourselves to the world, being with other people, being in large groups, for example, pushing our energy outwards, when we are day walking, and there is nothing wrong with that. But when we're in the mode of night walking, we might be in a space of more of a wandering or meandering energy, less of I need to get from A to B and more of a where does the road take me. We might be looking up at less being guided by the sun, which is blazing across the sky and obscures every other light in the sky. And instead of the sun, we have the stars. We pay attention to them. We can read so much about navigation and the passage of time from the night sky. We have the chariot of the moon, the planets, all of those things to read. We are more able to open to intuition. We are more able to move into a space of deep rest. Our sleep tends to happen then. Now, our deepest healing tends to happen then. And I think that perhaps what we have moved to in society is a point where sleep and the time of night is seen as recovery for the next day. You know, the cycle has all become focused on the day, and the night is just a journey towards the day. And then, oh, you know, I'm tired now, so I'm going to recharge. I'm going to recover. And it is seen less as being an essential part of our walking, that there is a work that is done through the night period. And I've noticed, for example, that again, you know, I've been working on for years now, since I was a teenager, on the dream space, on working in the dream space. And there comes a point where, you know, when the night and the day are in balance, we can say, oh, there's a challenge that I've got in the daytime, the challenge here that I'm struggling with, and I'd like to sleep on it. You know, you might write down the challenge. You might just say, I'm going to set the intention that through the course of tonight, I'm going to receive the wisdom or the piece of inspiration that I need so that I can resolve this challenge tomorrow. And I've used that technique for a long time. But what I've noticed is, if I get to the point where my day walking is so busy and so crazy, I am overworking my night walker. Poor night walker is going, you know, I need some time as well. I need some meandering time, you know. And your night walker doesn't get that time for recovery either. So your night walker does important work, important, deep, problem-solving, intuitive work, imaginative work, and it holds that space. What are the next steps? What are the insights that I can't see in the full glare of the sun, that I can't see in the noise of the internet, or, you know, being out in a crowd, that I need inner time in order to receive? And so your night walker is doing that work. But they also need the rest and recovery as well. And I think that's what we've forgotten, is we've got the rest and recovery piece. We absolutely rest and recovery, that's absolutely fine, but it's all for the day walker. Let's not recognise that the night walker has a function as well. And the reason I bring this in is because the Eowaz rune is that partnership. So we've talked about Dargaz, but Eowaz is the partnership that we need in order to use the day walking and night walking, and to flow between the two energies of Dargaz. And Eowaz is sometimes said to be, because it's a horse, it's sometimes referred to as the rune of nightmares, because it's seen as the nightmare that rides you. And I work with it in the, it can often be seen as like a witchy rune or a dark rune, but when we are harnessing the energy of the Eowaz rune, we are working with the night walker. We are working with it, and we are working with the space of dreams, and we come to the point where we can work with our dreams. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail on that. There's a whole piece there around dream work that you can work on and develop in order to receive the wisdom of your night walker as well. The Eowaz rune offers that. So curiosity, you might be looking at your dream journal. You might be looking at partnerships between the subconscious and the conscious mind, between the mind and the body. You know, all of these different things where you think, oh, maybe there's a little bit of a dysfunctional or not quite working partnership going on internally. Or it could also be with partners in terms of people around you, or partnerships with your land, or partnerships with your home. Where might you want to bring curiosity there? Where might you need some certainty? You know, I realised at the end, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, that my night walker needed some certainty that I was going to sleep properly and not ask any questions about what is the next steps for this program that I'm developing at this moment, or this sacred story that Freya wants to bring through. No, it's those types of things. So looking at that partnership, where do I want a bit more courage? Where do I want to trust that part of myself more? And that comes through with the Eowaz rune. We talked. Did I mention Manas? Did someone say they had the Manas rune? I'm not sure if they did, but we're doing Manas anyway. So here we go. Eowaz and Manas are really lovely partner runes. They come next to each other. So Eowaz is first, Then we have manas. They're both in the third eight, so they're quite the mature eight, as is Athala, in fact, which we're working with as well. And Dargas, in fact, all of the runes apart from the last one, which we're going to be looking at, Rado, sit within the final eight, and we're in the space of the final eight now. So the energy of synthesis comes through very strongly, sort of synthesis and maturity comes through very strongly. And we have that here with the Manas rune. So the Manas rune, which is the human, the word man comes from the Manas rune, but it means human, it doesn't mean male or masculine, it means both feminine and masculine. And it looks like two Wunyo runes. You remember Chen's Wunyo rune that we were talking about earlier? So it's two Wunyo runes together which support each other. They support each other in their instability, and it represents a person who is fully in their power. I am not just the person who receives the ecstasy of the moment with the Wunyo rune. I am the person who is able to create the container that holds the ecstasy of the moment for the Wunyo rune. I am the person who is able to do that for other people. I will stand solidly in my power, and it will make me more able to bring curiosity. Well, it's not about saying, I'm right. That is not the type of sovereign power that Manas represents. If you look at the way in which Odin and Frigg embody sovereignty in the northern tradition, there is a huge amount of bringing collaboration in, huge amounts of collaboration, of being open to seeking advice and guidance. So that's the sovereignty that Manas represents. The bringing of certainty, the saying, I will take responsibility for all that is in my realm, in my sphere of control. I won't sidle away from the bits that are a bit tricky or difficult and hope that somebody else will deal with them. You know, I will be courageous in allowing others to see my vulnerability, because that's what role modeling true power means. You know, all of these things come through with the Manas rune. So there is a sense for you, if you have the Manas rune coming up for you, if it's your rune of the day or the week, or it's the rune that you're going to be working with through the lunar month that's coming, then you're going to be wanting to look at, how do I embrace all of the different parts of myself, recognizing that when I stand in that space of wholeness, in that space of power, and in that space of sovereignty, all of those parts are available. I do not shun the parts of me that are vulnerable, weak, or flawed, because if I am shunning the parts of me that are vulnerable, weak, or flawed, how can I possibly hold a space for others to be vulnerable or weak or flawed? You know, I am able to embrace myself in my wholeness, and that is what makes me able to embrace others and to embrace the world as it is, and to say, and yet, how do we move through this? How do we step forward more powerfully together? So we have that with our Manas rune. And then our final rune is Rado. Here we are. So Rado is the rune of the road, of the rider, of rhythm, of ritual. Love the ruz, many ruz coming with the Rado rune. And this came up again because of this, the theme that the Dargaz rune has certainly invited me into, and now I'm inviting you into it, of day walking and night walking, and of what are the rhythms that are embedded into your, I want to say day, but obviously that's wrong, isn't it? Yeah, if you think about it as your time, let's see, your cycle, your energetic cycle. How do you foster your energetic cycle? How do you allow movement within your energetic cycle? How do you invite in those perspectives, those curious perspectives? You know, you need to actually be able to take action in order to move forward into the space of curiosity. What are you going to get curious about? What is the road that you're going to choose? What is it that certainty looks like for you? How does it feel? And then what steps do you need to take to move more towards it? What does courage feel like to you? What are the things that in the past you have been more courageous than you thought you ever could be? And what does that tell you about yourself? And I think that's one of the really key pieces, is to recognize that for an awful lot of us, courage isn't a quality that's just, I'm just there and I'm going to be courageous about everything. You know, and it's more, there are certain things that are so important to me that I bypass the fear or the challenge or the worry. And if we're able to find those things and to move forward within them, then we recognize, oh, well, I was able to do that piece. No, I was able to step forward there, and that increases our confidence that we can then be courageous in other areas as well. So for the radar rune, is very much about saying, what's the next step? And what's the next step after that? Now, there might be this blazing horizon that the Dargaz rune says, ta-da! Look at the fabulousness that might be on offer. You're going to take flight. You're going to turn into a butterfly. It's all going to be wonderful. And the radar rune says, first of all, let's just eat this leaf off this mulberry bush. Is that moths actually rather than butterflies? I'm not sure. Imagine a lovely juicy food that the butterfly wants. You know? First we're going to eat that. Then we're going to build the cocoon. You know? And move through that way. I should also say chrysalis, shouldn't I? Because butterflies are chrysalis. I get confused with that because of the butterfly, the Very Hungry Caterpillar story, you know. Always says cocoon rather than chrysalis because they believed that children wouldn't be able to pronounce chrysalis, so they used cocoon instead. Or at least that's my understanding of the story. And radar sort of is a little bit like that, you might say. It's sort of saying, well, maybe a child can't quite say the word chrysalis, but they can certainly understand the concept. So what's the next step? The next step in my imperfect learning journey, in my imperfect journey of evolution of my soul. So those are our 5 runes. So as I said, we're going to be doing a wildcard week next week, so we'll have some of the runes in there, which is why we are not doing 6 runes today. Yeah, we're not doing 6 runes today, we're doing 5. I don't know why I'm struggling to speak on this front. Anybody else, any other runes that we've got coming up? No, Candice says, I always call moths the butterflies of the night. Oh, I love that. The butterflies of the night. Then we don't need to worry about whether it's cocoons or chrysali. We can just say, yes, they're just the butterflies of the night. And Esther is saying, Manas is my Norni's gift. Yeah, you have a lovely combination of Ewas and Manas there, don't you, Esther? Okay, so, as I mentioned, I am running a workshop on Friday. It is going to be on Zoom. It's a live workshop. It will be 7:30 to 9:30 on Friday evening. That's London time. And it's in my shop. So if you go to www.meganrose.com and you select the shop from the menu, it's a menu on the side or on the bottom, it might be for you if you're on your phone, you can get your ticket there to join me for a session working with the embodied runes. We're going to be looking at ways in which we can work with the runes through voice, through stadgaldra, the body, through mudras, and we're going to be exploring the 5 pathways that I have developed when I created Awaken, the program Awaken. I developed 5 pathways through which we can journey with the runes. To help people to go, actually, you know what, it's because for some people they experience the runes and the first experience of them is they go, oh, it's a seership tool. They are for seership. We do rune castings. Others might experience them as healing tools. And it's being able to say, actually, there are these different pathways through which we can explore the runes and come to know them. So we're going to look at the pathway of the sage, which is, in my view, the foundational pathway, the creation of your rune hoard, your kenning hoard, as I like to call it. We're going to be looking at the pathway of the seer, the mystic, the magician, and the healer. And we're going to be doing some really lovely practical exercises as well. And I am going to be sharing with you there as well a little bit more about the Awaken program, so that if you are thinking about joining in the Awaken program, or if you know someone who you think, actually, this could be their next step, bring them along. You can come and find out about the program. You can also enjoy a delicious 2 hours of working with the runes. So because my computer crashed just before I came on here, lovely computer, always likes to keep me on my toes with love readings, I can't put the link up for you straight away, so I'm going to go and get it, and then I'll pop it in the chat for you. But you can get your tickets from the shop right now. And don't forget as well, and again I'll put the link in, that Sooner Star will be coming out this week. So if you feel like, yeah, I'd really like to work at a deeper level with my runic astrology, and I would like to have more practical tools, more meditations, more supported meditations, more of the templates that can support me in exploring some of the energies and planning my month. Planning my month, that sounds, planning in the most magical sense. Shaping my month, alchemizing my month with the runes, then Sooner Starwell is for you. So I will put the that link into the chat box as well. It has been lovely to see all of you. Thank you so much to all of you who have joined me live. If you are joining the recording, please don't forget, pop hashtag replay in so that I know that you have been here. It's always lovely to hear from you, and do say which runes are speaking to you at the moment, which rune are you working with at the moment. So many blessings to you all. Enjoy our new moon in Dargaz on Sunday, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon.